I'm Gaz, and this is Let's Play Lethis Path of Progress. This game was given to me by the developers as a review copy, which is fantastic because I really actually wanted a copy of this game. It is a steampunky city builder game in the same spirit as Zeus and Pharaoh, basically the old Impression city builder series, so that's really cool. I've only played through the tutorial myself, so this game is going to be kind of an adventure for all of us, I guess. Let's go ahead and start. Even though I have played through the tutorial myself, I figure I'll just go ahead and include the 5 missions in this series just for completion, and that way I don't really have to explain some of the mechanics as we go along. So we begin in Chemsford, which is basically just your initial housing mission. We just have to get a bunch of workers in houses. Here we go. Ah, at last. There you are. There's no narration, by the way, so I will be doing all of it. It was about time. This region is in dire need of an urban planner, and this countship, which I believe should be county, won't build itself. You were recommended to me. Do not disappoint me. To work. I will explain the basics of your employment little by little. Countess Esther is not the most patient person in the world. You will have to roll up your sleeves and work hard. This coast is almost untouched, and there is a beautiful little shore. Well, it's not the most profitable space to build a city, but a few fisheries will not hurt. Who knows? With a bit of time and luck, this charming little settlement may become a favorable destination for the most capable of workers. This is, by the way, the ideal plan of Countess Esther, and it is out of question to disobey her. The development team for this game is actually very small. I believe they have 6 employees and 1 guy doing the music, which is pretty cool. They are French-based, I believe. Okay, to work properly, buildings have to be connected to streets. That's our first bit of advice. Well now, here we are. This piece of land is rather barren, yet I see potential near the shores. I had roads built for you near them so that you may see what I demand of you. We are going to build your first city. Let us hope it will rise and prosper. Let us begin by placing houses so that migrants have a place to stay in our city. Migrants will not settle down in houses not connected to a street. Ah, I completely forgot. You can construct multiple houses by holding your left mouse button down to draw a big number of houses in one turn. Do not hesitate to build whole blocks of houses. The more the merrier. Okay, so I'm not really sure that I need to spend too much time on the tutorial reading, because if you've watched my other series, you should know how to play this game. One thing that's very interesting to note is how big this housing block is. In a game like Zeus, or even Emperor, I do not believe a walker would make it all the way around. Well, yeah, I guess they would, because as soon as they got to a certain point, they take the shortest route. But this is a massive, massive block compared to something that I personally would normally make. The walkers do sort of seem to have quite an extended range in this game, so that will be interesting to see. Anyhow, let's move some people in. And they come in through this little port. I'm not really sure where we are. This little block of the map here kind of reminds me of Populous. It is not a continually scrolling map, however. You can speed up a little bit. First thing I would like to see is a keyboard shortcut for the speed up and speed down. There might be, but unfortunately this game does not have a manual that I can find anyway that might tell me what the keyboard shortcuts are. Well done, the first settlers have arrived. Oh, aren't they charming? But we will not let them live in such profane tents, after all. No, we are not that cruel now, are we? Ha ha ha. To upgrade a house, you will have to fulfill the needs of its residents. As urban planner, it's up to you to care for your citizens, your city's citizens. The first thing we need access to is fresh water. Build a well. The well will regularly generate a person distributing water. He or she will aid the people to improve their housings. But pay attention. If the distributor does not pass by a building on a regular basis, the residents may lose access to the service and may abandon their upgraded homes. But we do not want that to happen now, do we? Go on then. Build one of those damn wells. Unnecessary profanity there, says the guy who swears in pretty much every video I do these days. Okay, so we can see here, I guess, the walker circuit, and I'm not really sure which is which. I'm not sure if those green squares indicate that yes, they will walk that way, but only on the return trip, or really what this means. Either way, I know for a fact that the walker is going to go around the whole block, so I'll just put the well here. Another important thing, the distributor does only roam on a random number of box tiles before returning to the well. At every crossing, he may walk in a direction that you may not want him to take. To better control your distributors, you will have to limit unhelpful crossings in your city. I know you are the urban planner here, yet I prefer to remind you of the basics. You never know. Anyhow, if you place a service building which generates a... Okay, basically road paths. We know about this. Roadblocks on the paths. The tutorial is rather verbose. These carriages do not seem very comfortable now, do they? People, I guess, are living in carriages. Your citizens are hungry. They demand food. Oh, how I understand them. I myself am in need of a delicious cream puff right now. Okay, so we need to build fisheries along the coast. There happens to be a little bit of coast down here. Food is in the apple bin. One thing that would be nice is a little bit of a tooltip hovering over these, but I suppose after playing this for a while, you kind of know what's what. So the fishery is here, and it is a bit bigger than in the Impressions Games series. It is 3x3. So I guess I'll just put this right here. I'll build 2, just because I can. Splendid! We only need now to store the fish. We now need a storehouse, which in this case is going to be the granary. Or granary, whatever. It's right here. Will be good. Our city flourishes, but our citizens still won't eat. Now we need a marketplace to distribute the food. And that is... oh, I guess it's right here. The shop. And I will put the shop... now you gotta be careful again where you put this thing, so I guess I'll put it like right there. Maybe I should put it a little bit closer so that... I guess it's probably the same distance. Whatever, we'll put it right here, so that the walker can go and get this. Now, one thing I have noticed when I played through this, the distance your walkers will actually go to get goods seems to be far shorter than in the Impressions games, where they would literally walk across the map, despite how inefficient that was. Maybe that's the case. Maybe I'm misremembering it, but it does seem to me like it took some considerable coaxing for them to actually get the goods that they require. And I'm going to build another fishery down here, because I can, and because I know the game will let me. Okay, so we've got some fish, which look like compressed little bars. We got fish sticks, I guess. I guess they're in boxes. Okay, well that makes sense. Kind of unnecessary, really. A little bit wasteful in the production. The art style, first of all, is fantastic. It kind of reminds me of the Professor Layton games, which is not necessarily a bad thing. I definitely like the art style, though. I'm kind of glad that they chose the hand-drawn animation style as opposed to 3D models. We're having problems. They're not getting... that's why. We don't have enough people. They're not getting the food because we don't have enough people. Now, in order to find out all the various statistics that you need to be looking at, it's kind of scattered all over the place. Not a huge fan of it. I'm going to have to look through those menus a little bit more, but for employment specifically, we can just mouse over the workers up here in the top, and we see that we need 25 more workers. I kind of preferred having the sidebar, and I know it takes up a lot of screen real estate, but I always liked that about the Impressions games, where you could just sort of leave a menu open and just glance over at it whenever you needed the information. Anyway, I will be putting over... I know I'm being a little bit nitpicky about a game that just came out, but this game, of course, will draw many comparisons to the games that I have played the most on my channel, so get used to that. There we go. Now we've got enough people. One thing I will have to check and see, though, is if you can split up workers for priority. You know, because there was no real reason these guys should not have had any... we just had a building collapse. Oh, how shocking. One of your fisheries collapsed. What error on my part not to inform you earlier. You could say that. The majority of your city's buildings have a risk of collapse. To prevent this, I advise you to build a maintenance service. Okay, so we can do that. If a building collapses, you'll find a lot of debris, which we have to clean up. Do not forget to build maintenance services in your other quarters to avoid surprises like this. Yes. So that is in the government tab. There we go. Administration tab, rather. I'll put this at sort of the end of the line, because that's always a good idea. Now I've got to get this little bomb and clear this out, so I can put the fishery back down. The tutorial makes sure that you do not have to... excuse me. that you do not have to concern yourself overly with funds, so I don't think we're going to run out anytime soon. I'll go ahead and put this here. In the future, when I plan my own city blocks, it'll probably be like I did with the Zeus and Emperor games, just because it allows me to put beautification in the center, and I feel that that is a nice layout. I won! The sea doesn't buy fish, we say. No, I have no clue whatsoever what that's supposed to mean, yet I consider it a fitting proverb to celebrate your first big success. Fantastic. Pretty good score, I guess. Difficulty multiplicator, which is a very fantastic word, 1. So we're just on normal for these tutorials, I guess. Next up is Dunwich, and I guess I can do a couple because this is a short episode otherwise. Now that you know the basics, it's time to build a bigger city. We now need just more workers, which I imagine will require more goods. Well done! This first settlement seems to be able to maintain itself on its own. You have done good work. I congratulate you. You have earned my trust, and that is why we are leaving to Dunwich immediately. I will join you there as fast as I can. I know you barely had time to settle down a bit, but I'm afraid to say I do not have many urban planners at hand, and you will see life at the countryside has its perks. Very often, cities are built for political reasons, with sovereigns rarely interested in their fellow citizens. Dunwich was built in the center of a trade route leading up into the high provinces. Little bit of proofreading. A handful of travelers often stay a day or two to rest. The Countess aims to profit from the fertile soil around the city to brew up as much beer as possible and sell it to merchants and other wanderers who pass Dunwich. Advice: you can click on any building to find out more information at any time. Okay, very familiar looking city layout. Ah, the fine air of the countryside, the sing-song of the birds, the scent of the forest, the freshly dug soil by hard-working men. But wait a second, I haven't smelled the last one here yet. Am I crazy? No single farm in sight? Since there is no possibility to construct fisheries here, we will have to exploit this fertile soil a bit now, won't we? Farms are a great alternative to produce food. Farms, however, may only be built on fertile soil, which is the darker dirt. Kind of confusing, but it's the darker dirt that is the fertile soil, not the lighter dirt, which is just, I guess, decorative. And like all buildings, they have to be connected to a street to function. Farms have two traits. They produce food once a year and they cannot collapse, so they don't need maintenance. Now why don't you build some potato farms to nourish our fellow citizens? Great. Okay. For those wondering if you are playing this game yourself and you're just watching and following along or whatever, pausing the game is spacebar, not P. Potato farms. I'm going to build 4 of these right in the corners. Going to probably need to increase my workforce just a bit. Okay, they are built. Do we need people though? Probably. Unemployment at 81%. No. No, we don't. Most definitely we do not. Okay. Nobody, however, is working the building. Curious. Is it just because the year? Sowing has not started, so I don't know. I guess we'll find out. One thing I did note, though, was that I kind of had to coax this part a little bit. It might require actually having some workers or distributors. I guess we'll find out here shortly. I'm not really sure when the germinal season begins. It begins now. Okay, so there we go. And I guess that little tweet that I've been wondering about myself indicates when the month or the season changes. Now, of course, we're going to need somewhere to put this stuff, and I don't know if she's going to tell me to do it. But I'll put this down to begin with. We now have a granary, which will take the potatoes, and then, of course, we need to put down, it's in the government tab, put down the administrative building to pay attention to it. And then I'll have to put down a roadblock, which is right there. That way they don't go wandering down. Okay, fantastic. we have some people here? We do not have people there. Have we eaten up all of my unemployment? Yes, yes I have. Time to put down some more buildings. Just stretch that out there. Unfortunately, whoever laid down this city did not do it in such a way that it was all nicely... There we go. Nicely spaced out. The well is a little bit off kilter there. But that does allow me to put down some beautification, which is not available at this point in the tutorial. Let's go ahead and bump this up to level 5. Again, I'd really like a keyboard shortcut for that. And it might be there, it might not, I don't know. Perhaps I will find it eventually. Just waiting, just waiting. When's the season? Right now. I have a crazy knack for finding that. Okay, now we actually have to distribute that, which again, I believe, is at the shop, which is... there. Okay. I'll get used to this eventually. We'll put it right there. And the guy in his little... I need to zoom in here, I want to show this. He's in a little motorized steam cart, which is pretty cool. Again, as I said, this is a steampunk-themed game, so we will see the steam eventually. Now that your citizens have access to food, they demand new services. Okay, they need to be able to wash their clothes. We shan't let them stink like monkey feet, so I need to build them a wash house. Okay, it's not a square building, and this is one of those that we can rotate with the R key. It is in services, and I'll just put it right up here with all of these other buildings, because why not? Appeal! Appeal is a problem. Okay. So, now they're available to me. Let's see. Well, whatever. I know what appeal does. You know what appeal does. Let's add some decorations. Let's see. We have a lot of decorations to choose from, but unfortunately, they're also kind of awkward to put down. The gardens are individual gardens, meaning that when you just do like this, they're all the same. And there are a lot of little one-bys, so you can alternate. I mean, we've got these trees here, and these trees here. Got some bigger 2x2 parks and that sort of thing. But just generally, if you're kind of in a hurry and just want to throw a bunch of stuff down, it's a little bit, well, it's a little bit disappointing, really, that you don't have so many options in how all of this looks. Just adding sort of that randomization as you pull them down, you know, would help just a little bit. Anyway, let's hope that's enough. It is on that side, and we see that we are now going up to some better-looking houses. My father always said, "Dear child, alcohol is the reward for hard work. In my opinion, alcohol rather aids to forget about it." Anyway, they demand it. So now, let's brew up some potatoes. Actually, we need to harvest hops. And funny story, there are no hops in this game. We don't have a hops plantation. Rather, what we have to do is put down a barley farm, which is right here. And we can just put those in the same place as the potatoes, and I'm just going to have to extend the roads here. And now we're going to need a brewery. Now, how do I... Ah, right. It's under food. It's actually the Abbey, which I guess no longer holds any religious significance. It now just exists purely to make beer. So we've got that, and then I need an actual warehouse, because it will not go with the granary. So I'll put the warehouse there, and I imagine I'm going to need quite a few people now. Although, this is all grown up and good. I'm glad to see this actually did, even though the road has not changed, we do have enough appeal for these people. So that's good. Tooltip, please. Unemployment 33%. Good. More than enough. We've changed to germinal now. So they're out there sowing their seeds. I'm just watching this guy freak out along the wall. That's... Okay, so now we're just waiting and waiting and waiting for that. That'll be turned into brew. One thing I do like is the rapidity with which products are actually made in this game. That is kind of nice to see. It doesn't take very long at all. And I believe later on Steam will help us to make them even faster. I might be lying on that, misremembering what the tutorial said. Anyway, here we go with our little bit of beer. And the guy brought it back, and the other motorized cart is now out taking it around. What do we need? Oh, they are evolving just a little bit. That's good. Finally got some beer in his cart. These ones, however, were not. We just need more alcohol. Okay. A little bit loud there. Oh, come on. What are we waiting for here? Access to a theater. Well, that's a level 5 house, though, right? I'm looking for... These are level 4s. They just need more alcohol. Well, I guess one way to fix that, it's under food. Yes, okay. Under food. One way to fix that would be putting down one of these. Now, this might have an effect, a very adverse effect, on appeal. I'm going to go ahead and put down a couple more of the barleys. I think we're approaching the end of this mission, so I'm not too concerned about overproducing. There we go. More beer for everyone. Best mayor ever. So yeah, I'm going to have to get used to the new layouts. Hooray! That I want to construct my cities with, you know, making a template based on all of the available appeal buildings and structures. So that'll be interesting. Here we go. Where there is a field, there will be crickets. I do not quite remember this one. These proverbs are often so very obscure and idiotic. I am, however, pleased to see your foray at the countryside has been profitable. Yet, there's still so much to do. Yes, indeed. And so we've still got the 3 other tutorial missions. And I believe this is a good place to stop. We'll pick up the rest of the tutorial next time.